yards, a 273 batting average against. So at home in Camden Yards, where the ball flies out, more home runs are hit there than anywhere
Lefty,
this
righty,
year.
doesn't matter.
He has a 274 earned run average, 8-5, and that is just phenomenal.
Can you think of a better rookie year from an Orioles pitcher?
No.
I mean, Palmer, at 19,
yeah, but pitching. I mean, you look pitching in this park, with the juiced ball.
Right.
Holy cow! This guy is, I mean, he's the changeup has been a big pitch for him. Obviously, throwing strikes, being around the zone, pitching back and forth, up and down. He has done a tremendous job, and just I don't think he'll get Rookie of the Year. I think the kid from Houston. Alvarez,
he's been hitting pretty well.
27 home runs, and
the guy's OPS is above 1,000.
No, really. So I mean, but I mean, a lot of guys. You look at Mancini is. I mean, he was Player of the Week, 12 for 26, 462. This month alone, 354, 6 doubles, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, 9-game hitting streak. He got a hit last night too, so that makes it up to 10. But he's had a phenomenal year. Is he somebody in the future? Not sure, but you got
He's somebody that they have for now, right?
You need to keep some of these older guys around that are veteran types, and he's a young veteran type. Now, will he be here when the team starts winning again? Hard to say.
It's just a first base problem, right?
Yeah.
There's too many guys in the system on their roster currently that realistically feel like they're first basemen.
First base DH.
And Mancini is a hell of a hitter,
Yeah.
and that's something that if he were to age gracefully, there's no reason to think he couldn't be hitting 280 into his age 32 season or whatever.
And it's hard, and with Davis, talking about all the hubbub about him going to spring training. You would
He's got to be
think.
gone. I mean, I can't imagine they would ever look. I don't know how they could ever go through the motions of bringing him back to camp next year and pretending as though there's some sort of result that could happen in spring training that would justify him breaking camp, right? Like
he can't take at-bats away from some of the young people they're trying to see. And he's really not now. He's given some guys a rest, but do you want to pay that kind of money, again, to take away at-bats from players you need to see play? And the thing is the big thing here is you need pitching is the number one priority as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, here's the.
But it's funny, right? Like at what level, and that's where the distinction is with the rebuild, right? Like
at every level.
I don't think they need to be going out and signing a 4th or 5th starter, right? Or like somebody who can eat innings. And I understand.
But you know what you do, and for me. I mean, you need to get the bullpen is absolutely. Now they've blown leads,
sure.
And I had some numbers here of what
Dylan Tate's had a rough go of it.
Really? I mean, they've given up runs in the later parts of the game. Last night they had a 9-7 lead, and they end up giving up 2 runs in the ninth, end up losing 11-10. But they've given up multiple runs late in the game out of the bullpen. That's really been a problem. But they go out and they get these DFA guys,
sure.
And if the guy, and this is one of the things they do analytically, which is they go out and get guys, no matter if you can throw the ball over the plate or not, if you got good spin rates. Now I understand that. I understand this. If you have a spin rate that equates to being a winning major league pitcher, I got you. We're going to give you an opportunity. But here's some of these games. Now, it's not going to mean a difference in the standings much. But if you got your young pitchers that are starting and they pitch well, but they don't get a win, or and they blow it, losing in the big leagues, losing 100 games. I don't care what they say. It bothers you. It bothers everybody.
As it should, right? Like
Absolutely.
You have a standard that you want to hold yourself to.
Absolutely.
That being said, I think it's all relative, right? Like it's going to bother somebody like Hanser Alberto a little less.
Sure.
That they've lost 100 games because he's gotten to showcase what he feels is his ability in the process, right?
And you don't want that.
But at the same time, this is sort of this is a testing ground. This is a petri dish right now. The MLB team, in my opinion, is sort of a place where they can experiment, where the guys in the bullpen can take their lumps if it means they're going to grow, right? Like I want to see Dylan Tate turn a corner and use the ability that we know he has to be a legit major league reliever.
But if you had And the point I'm trying to get to is some of these guys. We got a list here of guys that are going to be free agents next year. Now, I'm not saying the Orioles go out and sign these guys, but Garrett Cole, who's going to win 20 games,
he's going to make $200+ million from somebody.
Donaldson, J.D. Martinez, Anthony Rendon.
But you can't really really believe the Orioles should be in the market for any of these guys.
No, but you got third and fourth tier guys.
I can't. That's the market the Orioles have lived in for my life, though.
Yeah, I mean,
and it hasn't produced anything.
But if there's a guy that, and I right offhand, I don't see a relief pitcher, Chapman, but you can't get him. But there's going to be guys available for 1 year. That you can get for 1 year that may bridge a gap.
I'm not interested in bridge.
That may help. That may help. And be a role model for some of these other guys in the pen for the future.
And I don't know, like an Eric Ayala type, like the guy that I don't see. First of all, paying relievers is a treacherous operation to begin with, right? Like we've seen some Mike Gonzalez's of the past where you give them money and then it turns out being like, oh man, this is a 5+ ERA guy.
They're talking about. And this is one of the things, and I've said this, how can you give me a 6-year contract? I mean, some of that was ridiculous, that they would give guys these multi-year contracts like that. I would never give a pitcher more than 3 years.
Well, that's hurt them before in the past as well. Messina walked out the door because of that.
Exactly. Well, that's not smart. And now they're finally they're using the analytics to say that you knew that.
But I think the real understanding now is that you've got to either one of two ways get your pitching, right? Build it up and develop it through your system, or have enough talent and development through your system that you can go and acquire these guys in the trade deadline before they get paid.
And that is what. Now you look at what they're talking about here. What they did in Houston. In Houston, they didn't develop pitchers into the big leagues.
Well, they've gotten. It's not as if. Let's put it this way: the Lance McCullers would be one of the better pitchers the Orioles would have ever developed, right? Like,
really? But that's one of the things. But what? And I look at coming from the Giants, where they won 3 World Series in 5 years. No one ever asked anything how they did that. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They were good. Then they regrouped. They were good. They regrouped. They were good. They went total. A lot of analytics. They haven't been good since.
I'm not. I can't. You know better than me what happened to that organization. But at the same time, I still. I don't disagree with the fact that if you're gonna, and I understand there's a emotional toll that losing takes, but
yes,
you need to figure some things out about this players in the system.
Sure,
right? Like, if DJ Stewart struggles for 300 at bats next year, okay, you have an answer, right?
Right.
If it helps you lose and it's making you into a 100-loss team, at least you now know moving forward that this player, and this player can't be a realistic part of what you're doing here, right? Like they have removed themselves from that plan.
Correct.
And like, there's value to that, even in losing.
Oh, absolutely.
But with the group that have do you have any reason to believe that there's no way John Means fluked his way to the success this year?
We'll know next year.
You think there's a chance that he could come back down to earth in 2020?
I mean, I've seen it before. I've seen it, but if he is able to repeat and do similar what he did, this guy's for real. But you gotta wait and see.
So how do you think? I would understand with somebody like let's put Luis Castillo, for example, right? The tremendous pitcher with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Came on the scene second half of 2017 and was electric, was one of the best starting pitchers in all of baseball, showed a tremendous fastball up to 100 miles per hour with 2 off-speed pitches that he was able to locate, and it was like, wow, who's this kid? How'd the Marlins give him up? And then he came back the next year and suddenly just didn't have it, didn't have the command. Would that be what your concern would be for me?
Really? I mean, it's what's real. I mean, all the pluses point to, hey, this is not a fluke. But you got to wait because they're going to make adjustments. Is he going to be able to make adjustments? And we saw some at the midpoint. He did make some changes. He struggled a little bit, but then he made some changes. That's another Plus,
it's an adjustment, right?
So now we're going to see how the season, what happens at the start of next season, how he adjusts, what he did, because they're going to adjust to him because they got all the same information that the O's have. It's not a big secret, but how's he going to handle it? The big thing, he pitched great in Camden Yards. That, if you can pitch in Camden Yards, you pitch anywhere. But how's he going to? Is he going to have the same command as next year?
You can't pitch great in Camden Yards without really good command, right?
Sure. I mean, you got to locate, you got to change speeds, and he's done all of that. So, again, like I said, how he pitches next year, then you go, hey, wait a minute, we got somebody here. But
does it give you more confidence that he's a guy that's found success not through overpowering stuff, but through,
absolutely. I mean, it opens the door for other guys. That's one of the, and that's another thing. And what we're talking about injuries in baseball. I mean, it's some of the injuries that are happening in baseball. The salaries for players last year was $4.5 billion.
It's a good amount of money.
What's a $10.5 billion industry?
Sure, I know, right? They should have a little more.
There's almost $500 million of guys on the injured list. Mm-hmm. $500 million, and not a lot of people say anything about it. But you take into consideration what is going on in the game now. How it's all a power game. Mm-hmm. It's throw as hard as you can, every pitch as hard as you can, make them swing and miss. We're having more injuries than ever before. And I was happened to read this, what happened with the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, when they played the Ravens several years ago in the World in the Super Bowl and lost.
Sure.
The reason,
you mean when the power went out?
Was that it?
Yeah.
But one of the reasons they talk, most of the players in the days they're all big, bulky guys. But the 49ers had a strength and conditioning guy that was more into flexibility than bulk.
Sure.
They had less injuries, the 49ers, than any team in football that year, and they think that was one of the reasons that they were able to get the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So you look at players, they say baseball players now look like linebackers back then. And the players back then the baseball players look like wide receivers. That's one of the problems now is the guys, 3.5 hour game, you might have a ball in play for 15 minutes total. So there's a lot of standing around, a lot of sitting around. So now you're asked these guys, they hit the ball, they have to run hard. There's more injuries now in baseball than ever before. And a lot of it is because of that. They have to run quick, but they don't do anything to help that.
Well, I mean, it used to be, warm-ups were you go stretch, you throw for 5 to 10 minutes.
Maybe that, maybe not even that.
You go, do infield drills, you go do out. But
you used to have infield, they don't do it anymore.
But I still think there's something to be, I think pitchers still use, you see the resistance bands, and that's to an extent the stretching that,
But like I said, it's a power game. You throw every pitch as hard as you can. You try to increase spin rates.
All of their training and all of their work, you're saying, is going toward what they think is velocity, kind of.
Well, it's a velocity thing,
right.
and that is what do you tell a kid he wants to get signed? But you're increasing your chances of getting hurt because you can't stand and throw full bore every pitch, trying to get them to swing and miss. That just, look what the injuries are saying this.
It sounds like, imagine if you think of a vertical and a horizontal kind of development. I think some pitchers in today's game would view what you're saying, the flexibility training, working on something that isn't going to give them any bump in velocity, as being like a lateral move, right? It's not going to help them. And they think the only thing that's going to help them is something that's going to bump up their velocity. I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying, do you think that's maybe the mindset that could be happening here?
Here's one for you. Which inning in baseball do you think the most runs are scored?
It's true.
And it's been this way for 98 seasons, since 1921 to 1918.
The first
inning.
Yeah.
So it's not the first inning anymore. It's the third inning. So one of the reasons that they say the third inning, first inning, your best hitters are up. Mm-hmm. There's not as many guys on base, more home runs. So the third inning, usually the second inning is lowest because you got to back into the order usually. I'm not talking 3 guys. It's usually you're facing 5 guys the first inning and maybe 4 or 5 guys the second inning.
That third inning is going to
Third inning is the inning.
Yeah.
So you're facing the better hitters the second time around, and but four-seam fastball is the big thing now because elevated with the uppercut swings. That's if you get it right, they're going to swing and miss it. If you get it too low, they're not. But the four-seam fastball in the third and fourth innings are lower, resulting in more runs, which I didn't realize that. But, it was – I just kind of shake my head. But, yeah, the injury thing, and it's the guys that they running-wise is not – usually they run sprints before the game. Mm-hmm. The fielders, they'll run they'll run 10 sprints, maybe 6 hard,
sure,
which you're going to have to run in a game probably 4 times. But they're not doing that now. And pitchers aren't running, and it's as much. And you see a lot of guys hurting their legs, tagging up and doing stuff, breaking to go to first base to cover a base,
sure,
or backing up when they do back up. But there's a lot of the new things. The analytics are good to a point. But you're dealing with human beings. That's like the football thing yesterday or Sunday. With the analytically, we're going for 2 points. It's proven that you do that. Blah blah blah. Wait a minute. I mean, players are different every game, week to week, day to day, whatever you're playing. You're playing against different matchups. I mean, there's so many things involved that you're going to go, well, this is what's happened in the past. You're taking a general. That's what they do in baseball, too. You're taking a general where these guys hit the ball.
Sure.
It's it's generality. It's not this guy hits the ball here most of the time.
Sure. They're playing the chances. They're playing the percentages.
And you got to give them a card. You have to give these guys – how insulting is that?
Well, it used to be, lefties up. All right, take 2 steps.
Depending on who the pitcher is. I've sat in meetings for 47 years and conducted them too. That you can't. Cuellar, McNally, Grimsley, Palmer, 3 left-handers and a right-hander. Cuellar, McNally, myself, we all pitched hitters different. They all had to play hitters. The infielders played guys different because we all pitched different to different guys because we could do different things to get different guys out and different guys hit us. There's not one thing. That's the generality now. You can't do that. You're not going to play these guys to pull and pitch them away and give them. I mean, the hitters now are one-dimensional.
Do you think that there's something to be said for have they reduced pitching down? And I think there's certainly a point that you're making about the fact that all pitchers are not equal on the mound. And,
correct.
Their hitters react differently to different pitchers.
Absolutely.
But let's say if a pitcher's, no matter who the pitcher is, throws a certain hitter down and away, that they think that 78% of the time he's pitched down and away, right? He tries to pull it and rolls it over, and it goes to the second baseman, right? Do you think that's kind of what's happening?
That is the one-dimensional thing I'm talking about. And your better hitters, now they're starting. And I've seen more shifts where the ball has trickled through when Hanser Alberto got the hit that broke up the no-hitter. They had to shift on. Now, he's a pretty good hitter. Yeah. And he'll hit the ball the other way.
Contact hitter,
He hits a 95 hopper for a base hit right where the second baseman should have been.
Sure. Well, there's something that's something you should know, or who and when to do it, right?
You said that. You should know that. That's my point. Is how can you? You see these guys look at these charts or these cards in their hand, and I've seen them. And my question was, they don't know this? You should know it. You go over these things we don't want to clog your mind with too much stuff, so I'm going to give you a card and where to play. If I was Ozzie Smith, Brooks Robinson, Mark Belair, I'd be humiliated. You think I'm an idiot? You're telling me that I'm not very smart, that you have to tell me where to play. I'd be insulted if I was, a great player that I know what this, but it changes. I know what this guy can do today. He's not doing it. Or what he's done in the past. I know what he can do. He can't do it today. This guy's not swinging the bat as well. This guy's not pitching as well. He's pitching very good. I can do different things. And I've seen, when I got here to Baltimore, I'd make a pitch, and I'd go, you got to be kidding me. Hit the ball hard, turn around, there's a guy fielding it. I threw the ball the spot I wanted to. The guy hit it hard, but there was a guy there fielding it. And and then you didn't hit your spot, and a guy got a base hit. That's your fault. It's on you. But you hit your spot, there's a good chance the guy's going to make a play.
All right, we are going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk a little bit about the playoff race here in baseball as things are getting interesting with the season winding down. It is the Ross Grimsley Show here from the Live Casino Hotel Studio at Press Box. We'll be right back.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple, to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Baltimore's favorite bar is just 771 feet from home plate at Camden Yards. Sliders Bar and Grill is at 504 Washington Boulevard, just steps away from Camden Yards. It's the perfect sports bar for every season. This is the perfect time to book your private party or take the office to lunch. Feeding clients? Take them to Baltimore's neighborhood sports bar, Sliders, for great food and drinks with some local atmosphere. You can book your private event on the second floor or on the outside patio, both overlooking the best stadium in baseball. See all of Sliders' daily specials or book your party at slidersbaltimore.com. Sliders, Baltimore's neighborhood sports bar. Visit them today.
Hey, this is Stan the Fan. You know we're all hoping for a special season out of our football team. When it comes to dining out casually and affordably, I know a place is special every season. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Not only are they known all over for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes, they have a couple specials you want to keep in mind. Monday night is crab cake night. Tuesday night is ribs night. Wednesday night is steak night, partnered with half-price bottles of your favorite wines. And Thursday night is lobster night. So check out the Costas Inn this football season, and you may come back whatever the season. That's the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard, 410-477-1975.
And we are back with the Ross Grimsley Show here in Press Box. It's brought to you by Exxon Mobil. Ross, you want to tell people about Exxon Mobil?
Absolutely. Exxon Mobil, it's a Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil, helps extend your your engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center and ask for Mobil 1.
We were caught up in the break talking about the playoff picture, as it's certainly getting very interesting. Look, the second wild card that they added a few years back, some people were angry, like, oh, how are you going to change the playoffs? Like, there's no doubt about it. It's made baseball more interesting and exciting.
For the teams.
Sure.
You know, and that was...
and fans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the teams have something to go for, obviously, and it's... especially with all the teams losing.
No doubt.
But, yeah, it looks like in the American League, you got Oakland, Cleveland, and Tampa Bay. That's going to go down to the wire. But I think Oakland plays.
How do they keep doing it? I mean, look, Matt Chapman is one of the best players in baseball. Like, he's probably the best, if not behind Arenado or Machado. He's up there, if not better than them defensively at third base.
Right.
And then as far as hitting goes, he's been one of the best and most consistent hitters for the past year and a half, or at least. That guy is he does not, he's the most underrated player in the game. He does not get the credit around like the league circles or around like discussions that he deserves.
Yeah, well, they're on the West Coast. So you're not going to hear a lot about what goes on over there.
Despite their success, always just medals and
they're right. They're always, they got 94 wins. Again, another team that we said that has a chance. I mean, they're playing the Angels 2 games. They play Seattle 4. They can win They can win 6 games in a row, especially against those teams. You know, the way they are.
And the way they've been pitching, too.
The pitching, I mean, their starters, I think they're 8th.
Manea and Luzardo getting healthy has
big time
propelled
big
them.
Time. So they're a team you got to be. They can sneak in the back door very quietly, but I think Cleveland's right there. Tampa Bay has been playing very well. They play the Yankees 2 games, then they play Toronto 3 games. They got 5 games left. They're up by half a game over Cleveland. Oakland's got a 1.5 game lead.
Yeah.
But it's going to be. I really like Oakland, and I think Cleveland has 6 games left. They play the White Sox. They played the Washington, so that could be Washington could give them a little problem.
Cleveland's had. It's interesting, right? You got to give them credit for their development of pitching because Kluber's been mostly a non-factor this year.
Yep.
They've lost, of course, Bauer. They got rid of him.
Right.
Carrasco was pretty much a non-factor, of course, with his injury, and I think it was cancer even.
Right. Leukemia.
And then Salazar's off the map, but yet still like Clevenger, Bieber. These guys that they've got coming up have not only pitched well, they've been some of the best pitchers in baseball this year.
No. Well, Terry Francona's had a winning record in each of the last 15 seasons. That tells you something about that. And plus, they got Yasiel Puig.
He's been great.
So he's been doing his thing. So, yeah, Cleveland is Tampa Bay's been playing really well. I mean, they
gotten healthy, right? Like they've actually got a full squad going right now.
And they got pitching. Their pitchers are, they're second in the league in starters. The starters ERA.
Snell's back in pitching, right? He's been Glasnow's
and their bullpen has been well. They've been doing good.
Look, you can criticize analytics and stuff, but I think that the opener strategy has worked for the Rays, right?
Yeah.
Like they have done a good thing of changing how we perceive it. And I think that they clearly have a better understanding of their pitching staff than I think most teams.
They got the guys that can give them the innings, the starters after.
They know the context
opener.
of what players I think are what situations suit them.
You have to have starters that can give you 6-7 innings to give the pen a break. In the teams that have, that's like Washington, and you think they would do? They got the worst bullpen in baseball. Behind the Orioles are the next. But I mean that's really saying something.
Do you think they can win with that problem?
No. I mean you
can't rely on Scherzer and Strasburg to go 8 every time, right?
Well, they can, but you're going to have to. Hopefully, there's some days off, and you can run those guys. But I think the bullpen will take its toll and bust them. I really do.
Let's say here's the scenario. Let's say it's the Nationals and the Brewers in the wild card game for the NL. If you're the Brewers, with the way openers and all that work, would you just pitch to start the game Josh Hader for 3 innings?
But then who do you bring in?
You bring in the starter, whoever you were going to start, right?
You got to hope.
Just go and use your starter in the 4th.
Very interesting. Again, depends. I don't know the matchups. Sure. I don't know what they do against each other. That's something that we'll do at a later date when this thing gets to cranking.
You would think that Washington's putting Strasburg on the mound.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would think they're planning their schedule to make sure that he's healthy. He's rested for that day. Look, that wild card game. It's as Orioles fans, we've been on the wrong side and the right side of it.
I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be exciting. I mean, the Yankees with all their injuries. I mean, they got $65 million guy worth of injuries, and I
don't like giving them credit, but
no, I know,
but they've done a good job.
Severino's back. He struck out a bunch of guys the other night, so I mean, they're getting
real
some
glad
pitching
he got
back.
to stop in Trenton to face off against the Bowie Bay Sox.
Yeah,
in the championship.
Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah.
But teams do that. And you go, usually they can't. Well, they didn't have an option if they wanted. They had to use, and there was nowhere else for them to pitch, which is
that's the bad
a problem.
There
That's
too,
a problem.
Right?
Yeah, really.
A bunch of people.
That's a problem. They used to do that, and you really fried your butt. I mean, we in the Pacific Coast League, they called one of our pitchers up. Our best pitcher we had, Dave Fleming, and we couldn't pitch him in the final game of the PCL championship. We pitched a guy named Dennis Powell, left-hander, on 2 days rest. Got beat 2-1. We lost, and that was
stuck with you apparently.
That was the years. That 1991.
Clearly, you've let that one go. Yeah.
No, and people that still remember that. They still remember it in Calgary. They still talk about it because we had Tino Martinez. We had some horses there. I don't think Edgar was there, if I'm not mistaken. But we had some really. It was really a good team. And Keith Bodie, who just got let go, which we talked about. He was the manager, so it was. We spent 3 years there in Calgary in AAA with the Seattle Mariners. But yeah, it was really tough pill to swallow because we were really the town was into it. The owner Russ Parker was really a great guy. He was into it, and we knew we would get some really nice rings.
I mean, I can see that.
And winning. I don't care where you win at.
You want to win. You want to win, right?
It's neat to win. But
so then, the 2 or 3 teams, the Yankees need to be included in the conversation, I suppose. But like the Astros, the Dodgers, and the Yankees are the 3 that already have 100 wins, that have a run differential of over 200.
Oh yeah.
Who are give me 3 teams outside of those 3 that you feel legitimately could be World Series champions?
Out of the Yankees?
Outside of the Astros, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. Who are your 3 teams in the other group that you think have a legitimate chance to challenge for the World Series?
Astros, okay. That would be.
So we're looking at the wild card. We're looking at the Twins. We're looking at the.
I think the Twins.
The Braves and the Cardinals.
Let's eliminate them. Let's eliminate the Twins. Pitching is not going to hold up. I don't think.
Well, the Braves.
Washington. Well, Washington is the Braves. 96 wins. They got a chance to win 100.
I mean, with the talent they have,
yes,
Acuna is the most.
Their pitching is their bullpen is 10th. The starters are 11th in baseball.
They've gotten Jackson out of the closer role now, right?
Yeah,
but they still have flaws there.
Atlanta, I just that's. I think that Oakland.
Their momentum, you think, is the strongest at the moment, right?
And Milwaukee too. Milwaukee is. They've won. They beat Pittsburgh 3 in a row, which they're jumped on. But
so you think those are probably the teams in the AL and NL respectively that the other teams are hoping don't make it out of the wild
Oakland
card.
and Milwaukee are two. Even without Yelich, with Yelich, that would be really something.
It's too bad he got hurt.
Yeah, no, I know. But and Cleveland just keeps hanging in there, with all their injuries. So it's.
Is Lindor back?
I'm not sure.
He was. Ramirez is out.
Right.
But Cleveland they're pesky.
Yeah, no, yeah. And Tampa Bay is on a run, but something about Oakland, just something about them. Washington's bullpen. If they get any bullpen at all, Washington could be interesting. I mean, they got some. They're playing really well.
Do you think they're in a position where you only need 3 starters, 4 tops?
Yeah.
In the major leagues and playoffs, right? Like, would the Nationals benefit from just kind of turning their other starters into bullpen guys?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
You think they're gonna?
Well, yeah. I mean,
who's
their third starter? They got.
He's good. It's Corbin.
Yeah. So, and again, it comes down to the matchups. How do you match up? Again, like I said, we'll get into this a little bit more in future shows.
Sure.
We can break it down, but I don't know it. But just right now, Oakland. Washington is playing well. Milwaukee is.
Those are your 3 you think that are dark horses to really be late in the playoffs.
I just something. I don't know if Tampa Bay scores enough runs. They have been. They've been playing really well, but I just don't know. I don't think they score enough runs against the powerhouse hitting teams. I don't think they'll do that. Cleveland. You never know about them, but that they've been playing well. They've been getting some pitching, but I think Oakland is the team. That you
could surprise some people
with.
And see. Yeah.
And Milwaukee, Washington's bullpen. I mean, they're going to have to really. Somebody's going to have to really pick it up. There.
Unfortunately,
and St. Louis. We never talked about them. That's another team. I just happened to. St. Louis has been. That is the team. They got 90 wins.
Do you think their pitching's good enough?
Their pitching.
I mean, Flaherty's been really good in the second half.
Yeah,
he has been.
Their bullpen is.
Wainwright's still a veteran. You can get some innings out of him.
Their start. It's crazy. Some of these teams, they got good starters, bad bullpen. Good bullpen, bad starters. So I mean, the team that
in the playoffs, you might be better off with the good bullpen.
Yeah, and Cleveland's pitching. I mean, they got the number 1 pitching team in baseball. Starters.
But is it good enough to shut down the Astros?
And that's the other thing, And the Astros are usually your pitching. Well, good pitching will stop the hitting, but. The way they use pitching now, you get a guy 5 innings and he's out of the game. Now your bullpen comes. And like you said, one of the things I could do is maybe slide some starters in there and possibly do what the Giants did with Bumgarner. Somebody's going to come up and go, "Hey, give me the ball. I'm out here. We want to win."
Sure.
So I'm going to do what I can. So yeah, that's a possibility. But That's good. I mean, obviously the Dodgers, Houston, the Yankees. Those are three teams that are going to end up probably doing stuff. So, anyway.
Well,
look.
Today's show has also been brought to you by the fine folks over there at Sliders.
Sliders Bar and Grill across the street from Camden Yards. Perfect place to watch all the home and away Raven Caps games, Oriole games. Also, Sliders has drink specials every day and is home of Fancy Clancy beer, which I had, which was not too bad.
Tasty.
Go to sliders.com for all the Sliders events and specials. That's about it, buddy.
Indeed.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We're on again next Tuesday. You can see me on Twitter or give me some Twitter me at R Grimsley 2.
I think they call it tweet me.
Tweet me, Twitter me. I'm not up on that. But I can't be tweeted. Anyway, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you next week.